and welcome to our weekly show, Tea Talk, where we'll be discussing latest updates, news, what's happening on the social media, and all that you need to know to have that ease of living in this beautiful country. Lately, we have been talking about COVID, about healthcare sectors, different topics that we have been covering in regards to COVID. But this week, we are talking about opportunities. And for that matter, we'll be talking about artificial intelligence, how it works, what's the future like, and so on. And for that matter, we have one of our esteemed guests joining us today. So let's welcome Dr. Nabil As-Sahli, who is the head of Computer Science Department at GU Tech. Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us today.
Thank you for the invitation.
It's a pleasure to have you on our show, and thank you so much for taking out time on such a short notice.
You're welcome.
So, Doctor, artificial intelligence has been going on, for a very long time. A lot of people are still not clear what exactly is artificial intelligence and how does it really work?
Okay, good question. Actually, artificial intelligence, or as we all know, AI, started years ago, maybe 50, 60 years ago. But recently, we witnessed this explosion of AI. Everyone is talking about AI, mainly because the AI has shifted from theory to practice. So in few words, AI is about adding intelligent behavior to machines and to robots. And of course, there are sub-areas of AI, but people, they are still confusing a few terms. They're talking about machine learning as AI, and they're using the same maybe terms to designate both. But in general, AI is about, as I said, adding or improving algorithms and robots and behaviors with, between brackets, intelligent behavior.
Right.
Why I said between brackets? Because I do believe at the end, only human beings are intelligent, but somehow we manage to give some of this intelligence to our robots and our programs.
I'm glad, Doctor, you touched upon the sub-areas of artificial intelligence. If I'm not wrong, artificial intelligence itself is the umbrella, and there are different areas or subcategories underneath it.
Yes.
Could you briefly tell us about it?
Yes, you're correct. So under AI, we have a lot of sub-areas in theory, such as expert system, intelligent systems, computer vision, natural language, etc. But mainly the one which is booming now is machine learning. And that's why I'm saying a lot of people, they are now overlapping AI with machine learning. Why? Because machine learning is the sub-area which is now the more applied. The other areas are still, let's say, at the theoretical level.
Right.
Yeah, mainly.
And when you say machine learning, you're talking about, like you said earlier, that humans transferring some of their intelligence to the machines, right?
Yes, but that was like, let's say, it's an image, it's a metaphor, of course. But in reality, it's about somehow programming machines to learn by themselves. Because in traditional programming, we used to instruct the machine or the robot to do exactly what we want. Okay, go forward, turn right, turn left, etc. Right? With machine learning, we are kind of teaching like a small baby. We are teaching the robot or the program, okay, with the experience, he will know or she will know how to behave. So the robot will learn how to recognize obstacles and how to behave when it reaches a certain obstacle.
Right.
So there is no predefined set of statements. We just teach him by samples. This is how an obstacle looks like. And if you face something similar to this, then you have to do this.
Oh my God.
And we have this very clearly, for example, with in some applications, like I have one of my students last year for his thesis project. He told me, oh, I can see this poor guy at the entrance of each mall checking who is wearing the mask. he told me, can we do this differently? I said, yes, of course. AI is for this. So in 1 month and a half, actually, he managed to implement it. And he implemented a software, so he has his camera point in the entrance, and whenever a guy is entering without a mask, the program will launch an alert because it detects that someone is not wearing a mask. Or even someone is wearing a mask but is not keeping the social distancing, also the program will catch it. And how this is done, actually he was training the program. So he was given hundreds and hundreds of different images of different faces, male, female, kids, etc., with and without masks, with half mask, with nose covered, nose not covered. And then he was just saying to the program, okay, this guy is okay, this guy is not okay, this guy is okay, this guy is not okay. And then the program will learn actually by looking at these hundreds of thousands of samples, how to recognize any new figure or face wearing or not wearing a mask.
This is briefly
when AI illustrated to a machine learning problem.
That is very interesting, and this is on a higher education level. It's not even implemented on a bigger scale. So there is much more potential from that one can use from artificial intelligence. Now, talking about Oman and about this little project, how do you see the demand of artificial intelligence in the country?
To be honest, let's start with with worldwide. Of course, AI is booming everywhere. So I think in US they are requesting something like 1 million experts or graduates in AI. Why? Because they have all these big companies, Google, Amazon, and so on. Here in the region, you can see our neighbors, UAE, they started very strong with the Ministry of AI. So one could ask why they are giving a minister the task to be, let's say, to supervise the AI and sub-areas. Actually, because I think they realized before us, as usual, that AI is the future. In Oman, of course, it's included in the Oman Vision 2040. And maybe if you allow me to read this extract from His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq on the 23rd of February 2020. So this is his first speech. So he said, our government will follow up progress in various sectors, including small and medium enterprises and entrepreneurship, particularly those based on innovation, artificial intelligence, and advanced technology. So that was the extract from his speech. So you can see that he talked about innovation, AI, and advanced technology. Actually, AI is, it could be included in the advanced technology, but I think His Majesty, he mentioned in particular artificial intelligence just to let us know, emphasize that this is the future. So in Oman already, companies in Oman, they are already implementing projects with AI. So just to name a few, in oil and gas, in telecom communication. I also know some SMEs, they are implementing projects in AI. Unfortunately, so these companies, they implemented for outside Oman. Here in Oman, still there is not a lot of demand, but somehow it's starting. Just to give you another example in health sector, I heard that already maybe 3-4 years ago, in at least five hospitals in Oman, they are now using a program based on AI to detect breast cancer.
Okay.
And this is implemented, so which means that, and I think it has been developed locally here in Oman.
Okay. Yeah. So, Doctor, this was in general about, artificial intelligence on a bigger scale in the Sultanate. Now, what about the popularity among students? Are students pursuing it or seeing this as a potential career choice?
Actually, as maybe you may have heard, we just launched a new program in AI. And actually, this doesn't come from our guessing, just because, in academia, always universities, they have to predict, they have to forecast the needs in 5-10 years from now. So according to our analysis and surveys and studies, we think that in few years from now, there will be a lot of demand in AI. And you don't need a lot of intelligence to see that, because everywhere else it's booming. UAE now it's very trendy. In all countries, it's very also popular. So Oman, to survive economically, has to follow the train.
Right.
So that's why we are offering this new program. Of course, now our first batch, they are still in the foundation program, but we expect to have our first graduates in maybe 4 years from now. Currently, we have only computer science students, but of course, we are giving them like a little flavor of AI. So they have an optional course on AI, and most of them, they are taking this course on AI. So it's just an introduction. But I also noticed the last 2 years, a lot of students, when it comes to their final year project, they're just approaching us and say, oh, teacher, I want to do something in AI. And of course, within 4 months, they cannot grasp all the theory,
right,
but they focus on a small niche. And as I just mentioned before, some of them, they did very nice job, although they're not expert in AI, but just within 2-3 months, they were able to.
And as you said, Doctor, it's very important to give that kind of introduction to AI because, like you said, it's very new. So students who are already in university level or say even colleges, they should have a little basic knowledge of what the potential of AI could be in future. Otherwise, it's very hard to explain to them.
Yes, of course, you need a little introduction. But to go to the job market, you need more than that. And I was discussing with one of the SMEs here, and he clearly stated that, unfortunately, whenever I hire someone from computer science or AI, although he is very smart, talented, I have to train him 1 year at least to let him grasp the basics of AI. So he told me, of course, if I have a graduate who is already ready, so he knows already about all the algorithms and all aspects of AI, this saves him a lot of money.
Right.
Yeah.
Talking about job market, Dr. Nabil, how do you see the job opportunities once the students are graduating from AI, or students having a background of AI?
I think what will happen in Oman is what's happening in other countries, but maybe we are 10 years, 15 years late. So in 4 or 5 years from now, there will be a lot of opportunities for students because I think AI is a matter of survival. In US, I heard some experts saying recently, in 5 years from now, any company who is not implementing AI will not survive. So in Oman, I would say maybe this will come in 15, 20 years from now. If you don't implement AI solutions, you cannot compete with the others. Right. Because AI reduces a lot the costs. So if you are not implementing AI solutions, you are spending more money and you cannot compete with the others. Some students, they say, oh yes, teacher, but we are not sure whether in 5 years this will happen in Oman. The answer is straightforward. Still, you are a computer scientist because an AI student is someone who knows how to program, he knows database, he knows network and security. So with an added value of AI, so of course he can work as a normal IT guy, of course.
Right.
And whenever it happens in his company that they decide to start with AI, he's ready. He has this added value.
Yeah, so he has
Yeah.
more opportunity than a normal computer science graduate because of the added value of AI.
I wouldn't say more, because the market will need computer scientists, will need people in AI, they will need people in cybersecurity, they need people in business management. So, but actually, our future graduates, they will fill this gap. We don't have in Oman local experts in AI. And companies, they are bringing experts from outside.
Right.
Yeah, or they are training. There's an initiative, I think, which has been launched in 2018 or 19, a governmental initiative where they're taking people to train them on AI, on cybersecurity, to get them ready for the market. But of course, this costs money for the government. And of course, as a company, I would prefer someone who's
already trained and
Yes.
who has the knowledge.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't have to spend that extra 6 months.
Right. Now, Dr. Nabil, talking about the side of AI, what are the possible risks or, say, benefits associated with AI?
Okay, let's talk about the benefits first.
Okay.
I heard once the CEO of ITA here maybe 2-3 years ago, I think before Corona, he said that by 2035, countries embracing AI will see their economic growth rate doubled by 2035. So there's a big gain at the national level, of course. Maybe at the level of companies, whether big companies or SMEs, AI solutions, they reduce a lot the costs. And of course, let's give an example. Banks, they take a lot of risks when they give you a loan, right? So big banks now, what they do with machine learning, they enter a lot of data from the history of all their customers, and later on, and they make this program learn how customers behave. And now what they're doing, whenever there's a new customer, he's asking for a loan, they entered all the data about his profile, and the system is telling us whether this guy will be able to refund or reimburse the loan or not, and with a certain margin of error.
Right.
And most of the cases, it's by 95% accurate, which means banks now, they are, let's say, reducing the risks of not getting their loans reimbursed using AI solutions.
Yes.
And this also has been implemented by at least one bank here in Oman. So now we are talking about the risks.
Yes.
Yes. One of the biggest risks, of course, is when we talk about the job market. Unfortunately, because AI, remember what I said at the beginning, we are giving some of our intelligence to the machine. And what will happen? The machine will take our jobs. So the machine will take a lot of the traditional jobs. Just to give an example, you see maybe the autonomous cars, they are starting now in US.
Yes.
But I think in few years it will be very common there. Maybe in 2 decades it will be common also in Oman, which means probably taxi drivers, bus drivers, truck drivers, they will lose their jobs. So I think I read somewhere that millions of jobs will be lost because of AI.
Yeah.
The good thing is AI is taking over some jobs, but it creates also new jobs.
Okay.
And this is the key points, because we should not rely on the same jobs forever. We have to adapt to the new technologies, to the current situation, and So since AI is creating new opportunities, new jobs, so we have to train the younger generation with the new technologies, the new skills. So instead of having more drivers, we'll have maybe more people who are able to implement things with AI, for example. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Doctor, we have already touched what exactly artificial intelligence is, how does it work, what are the sub-areas, possible risks and benefits. Now, do you believe that AI is the future in Oman? And do you think that Oman is ready to have AI implemented on a bigger scale?
I would start with the second part. Actually, you don't have the choice. Whether you like it or not, AI is here and it will stay for at least few decades. So as I said, it's a train. So whether you catch the train when it's just starting slowly or at 200 kilometers per hour, but you have to catch the train. So everyone else is heading towards AI and AI applications because, as I said, it reduces a lot the costs. So if you want to be competitive, and nowadays you cannot talk about Oman or GCC, it's the area of globalization. If you let's say, produce something here in Oman, you can sell it in Tasmania. Yep. So the globe is becoming a small village. So you cannot live differently. So AI is here, is around us. So you start your phone, Siri is there, this is AI. The face recognition, this is AI. Facebook, whatever you see in Facebook, it's also AI. AI is everywhere. So whether you do it or you don't survive. And
I asked if AI is the future for Oman.
Yeah, actually, it's the same idea. We should say that the future in Oman is in AI and other subjects, not only AI. Maybe the hydrogen, the green hydrogen, maybe would replace the oil, the traditional oil.
Biofuels.
The biofuels.
Yes.
And as His Majesty said, and also as stated in the Oman Vision 2040, so AI is one of the let's
the future.
Say, yes. Access to be focused on, yeah.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Nabil, for joining us and giving us such an informative insight, of AI, because like you said, AI is around us and we don't realize, we don't notice it, but we are actually around AI. So thank you so much once again for enlightening us, and thank you for taking up time. It was a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, my pleasure as well. Thank you.
For more interesting videos and updates, stay tuned and keep watching TTV.